She was removed from the graduation stage due to her attire: a simple white cotton dress, worn ballet flats, and a casually tied ponytail, an appearance that drew attention from those in attendance. "You are not on the speakers list. Please step down," stated the event organizer, the silence that followed as brittle as glass. No explanation was given. There was no public questioning of why Elise Carter, St. Morel's top student, was excluded from the final moment of recognition. Instead, quiet mockery rippled through the audience, unaware that daughters of janitors sometimes aspired to share a stage with those from established families. She descended, 1 foot at a time, moving past gazes filled with judgment. However, just then, the doors swung open, and her fiancé, heir to a billion-dollar empire, entered. Royal Lancaster Hall resembled a cathedral of privilege, its crystal chandeliers projecting prisms of light that shimmered across gilded walls and velvet-draped tables. The air was heavy with the fragrance of orchids and affluence, each guest a dazzling symbol of power. St. Morel Academy's graduation ceremony was far more than just an event. A coronation unfolded for the heirs of Forbes-listed dynasties. Diamond earrings shimmered on every ear, bespoke suits whispered with each movement, and the sound of champagne flutes resonated as a symbol of exclusivity. The students, adorned in silk-lined caps and gowns, were seated in rows of polished mahogany chairs, their futures seemingly predetermined and promising. A live-stream screen displayed the ceremony for those unable to purchase the $5,000 guest tickets, and among the viewers stood Maria Carter, Elise's mother, her hospital janitor scrubs concealed by a borrowed coat, her gaze fixed on her daughter's image. Elise entered, her white cotton dress a subtle rejection of the lavish surroundings. At 22, she was captivating, not with the refined appearance of her contemporaries, but with the natural beauty of someone who had rightfully earned her place. A low ponytail held back her dark hair, highlighting cheekbones and hazel eyes that conveyed warmth and determination. The gentle sound of her faded ballet flats accompanied her across the marble floor, her steps sure despite the challenge of 1,000 stairs. She was the scholarship student, raised by a single mother who cleaned hospital floors to ensure they could pay their rent. Exceptionally intelligent and persistent, she had earned a place among the best at St. Morel's, only to face criticism for the circumstance of her background. The lack of her mother in the hall felt like a hidden pain, as she was aware Maria observed from the chilly street beyond. When Elise settled into her place, the hall's prominent figures initiated a digital attack. Mobile phones illuminated, students rapidly typing, their social media updates a public shaming. Charity case crashes, one wrote, highlighting Elise's worn shoes. Mother posted, St. Morel's biggest mistake, allowing a cleaner's child to attend. The live stream discussion became filled with harsh comments. She's a fraud, and kick her out, peered frequently. Sophia Lyle, a girl in a sapphire gown, stood, her voice audible to Maria outside. Reports indicated her dress was trending as the worst fashion choice of the year. The hall erupted in laughter, a cruel sound, with phones raised as if to attack Elise. She remained still, her hazel eyes focused ahead, though her fingers lightly touched her plaque, revealing a slight tremor that contradicted her composure. Maria's expression on the live stream was one of suffering, each online post feeling like an insult to her honor. The audience's anger intensified, fueled by their outrage at the mob's actions, attention poised to explode. Ethan Caldwell, a large senior and inheritor of a tech empire, rose from his seat, his substantial build looming over Elise as she remained seated. "You're occupying space you have no right to," he stated, his voice resonating throughout the diamond section. He approached, the sound of his loafers striking the marble floor, his Rolex catching the light as he gestured towards her. "That dress is disrespectful to this hall. Leave before we force you to." A hush fell over the crowd, an unspoken sense of danger palpable as phones were raised to document the scene. Ethan moved closer, his breath warm with champagne, his fingertip hovering near Elise's face. "Your mom scrubs floors, for people like us. Know your place." A scattering of students offered encouragement, their voices keen and insistent. Elise's hands remained clasped, her hazel eyes locked with his, unwavering despite the visible pulse in her neck. A palpable tension filled the air, her silence a delicate defense against his threat, and the audience's anger swelled, yearning for her to be saved. The hall seemed to sway as Elise took her place in the diamond section, designated for the privileged. Murmurs cut through the atmosphere. "Wait, are they renting out diamond seats by the hour now?" Scoffed a boy in a tailored tuxedo, his cufflinks gleaming. A girl standing close by, her gown adorned with Swarovski crystals, bent forward. It was evident she had entered without permission. The absence of anyone accompanying her was noticeable. Her voice, measured and harsh, resonated, prompting laughter from those seated nearby. Elise's hands remained still in her lap, her expression calm. She had endured more difficult experiences during her 4 years at St. Morel, including classmates ridiculing her thrift store clothing and professors doubting her suitability for leadership. However, today was meant to be different. It was her graduation day. Natalie Harrington, daughter of a global fashion empire, was positioned 3 rows ahead, her blonde hair falling in flawless waves, and her emerald gown a $20,000 creation. She glanced back, her blue eyes assessing Elise from head to toe, and remarked, loud enough for the entire section to hear, "St. Morel really needs to reevaluate its scholarship standards." She continued, "We can't have commoners ruining the visual harmony." Amusement spread through the section as heads turned to observe Elise's simple dress. A young boy close by called out, asking what's next, and suggesting her mom scrub the stage. The hall was filled with murmurs, the taunting palpable and sustained by Elise's quietness. She didn't react. Her hazel eyes remained focused on the stage, though her fingers briefly clenched, revealing a momentary strain beneath her composure. A professor, Dr. Evelyn Tate, stood from the faculty row, her silk shawl shifting as she addressed the hall with a condescending smile. "Miss Carter's attendance here was generous, but misplaced," she stated, her voice conveying insincere sympathy. "St. Morel is intended for individuals destined for leadership, not those who fulfill supporting roles," she indicated, gesturing toward Elise, her diamond ring catching the light. "Your scholastic achievements are noteworthy, but leadership demands heritage, not benevolence." The audience expressed agreement with quiet sounds and applause, their sense of privilege forming a barrier around Elise. "Perhaps a vocational school would be a more appropriate fit for you," Tate observed, her words carefully chosen to inflict pain. Elise held the plaque in her lap, her hands still, though her hazel eyes betrayed a hidden sorrow. Outside, Maria's hands tightened as the live stream broadcast Tate's dismissive remarks, her daughter's aspirations ridiculed by those who should have supported her. The audience's anger swelled, their outrage at this violation of trust by those in power a searing pain. Natalie Harrington moved closer, her emerald gown reflecting the chandelier's glow, her voice sharp and controlled. She observed her, believing she could occupy our position. She stated, her voice clear enough for the live stream to record each word. She stood, indicating Elise's dress with a gesture, her carefully shaped nails catching the light. "That garment is suited for a laundry basket, not St. Morel's stage. And those flats," she continued, "I wouldn't wear them to walk my dog." The hall erupted in laughter, students applauding, their amusement a public humiliation. A student yelled, "Send her back to the hospital to mop floors." Natalie's smile broadened, her gaze fixed on Elise. "Your mother's a cleaner, and you're just her shadow leeching off our prestige," she hissed, her words intended to inflict pain. Elise's plaque trembled in her hands, her knuckles whitening, but her face remained composed, a barrier against the attack. The live stream outside showed Maria's face falling, the crowd's harshness a blow to her heart, and the audience grew increasingly agitated, their anger threatening to erupt. The ceremony commenced, the dean's voice resonating through the hall, commending the prospective leaders of the world. Elise's name was announced for the valedictorian award, her flawless GPA a testament to her exceptional intellect. As she stood, the whispers intensified. "She? Valedictorian?" questioned a girl adorned with pearls. "It must have been achieved through dishonest means." Elise proceeded to the stage, her movements deliberate, her dress reflecting the chandelier's illumination. The applause was subdued, overshadowed by expressions of disapproval. She received her plaque, her smile subtle yet firm, and returned to her seat, the feeling of their assessment feeling more significant than the award she held. A cluster of students close to Elise's seat rose, spearheaded by Julian Pierce, a banking heir whose smirk matched the precision of his suit. "Let's make her feel welcomed," he announced, throwing a discarded napkin toward her. "Pick it up, cleaner's kid," others echoed, adding straws and programs, creating a mess around her. "This is your level, Elise," Julian sneered, his voice audible on the live stream. Laughter erupted from the audience, with some yelling, "Sweep the stage next." The scattered debris created a mortifying backdrop around Elise's chair. She remained composed, her cotton dress a symbol of resistance, though her fingers tightened around her plaque, her knuckles bone white. Maria's expression on the live stream conveyed intense distress, each object thrown a painful blow to her daughter's sense of worth. The crowd's anger escalated, their hearts racing, yearning for the mistreatment to stop, for Elise to transcend the crowd's harshness. Claire Voss, a media heiress, her diamond choker catching the light, rose to her feet, her voice cutting and dramatic. "This is mortifying for everyone," she announced, speaking to the hall with regal authority. "Does Elise believe she can be valedictorian in that second-hand dress?" She indicated Elise, her bracelet chiming, a cruel smile playing on her lips. "You're someone who received charity and got fortunate. You are not welcome on this stage." The audience exploded in uproar, students yelling, "Go back to the slums. And she's ruining the aesthetic." Claire lifted a hand, quieting them, her gaze fixed intensely on Elise. "Your mother is insignificant, and you are even less," she stated, her words deliberate and sharp. "Depart before you escalate the situation." Mobile phones illuminated the scene, capturing Elise's composure, her cotton dress becoming a focal point of their derision. Maria gripped her phone, the live stream showing her daughter's distress. While the audience's frustration grew, their sympathy focused on Elise's honor. When the student speeches were to be presented, Elise's name was scheduled to begin. She had dedicated weeks to writing her speech, a recognition of strength, and a tribute to her mother's sacrifices. As she stood, her heart calm, she moved towards the stage, still holding the plaque. A coordinator, a wiry woman wearing a black blazer, blocked her way, holding a clipboard as if it were a shield. "I'm sorry, you're not on the official list of speakers. Please step down," she stated, her voice cold and amplified by the microphone attached to her lapel. The hall fell silent, all eyes fixed on Elise. The coordinator's lips moved slightly, seemingly pleased by the situation. Elise hesitated, her breath momentarily suspended, but her expression remained calm. Ms. Langley, the coordinator, approached Elise, who stood motionless on the stage, her clipboard held high. "Did you hear me, Miss Carter?" she inquired, her voice laced with disapproval and amplified through the microphone. "You will not be speaking today. You are not part of this group." She then faced the audience, offering a strained smile, seemingly seeking their agreement. "We uphold certain standards at St. Morel, and this," she indicated Elise's dress, "does not meet them." The hall erupted in laughter, a sound like a tidal wave, with students clapping as if at a show. "Perhaps you could assist your mother with the cleanup," Langley remarked, her words pointed. Elise's plaque vibrated in her hands, her hazel eyes flashing with pain, but she remained silent. The live stream displayed Maria's face, tears flowing, the crowd's harshness a public dismantling of her daughter's aspirations. The viewers' anger intensified, their hearts racing, hoping Elise would withstand this final setback. A murmur arose, spreading quickly. "She's poor," a boy in the front row whispered, his voice audible to those watching the live stream. "Sad, but appropriate," a girl added, her diamond bracelet flashing as she chuckled. Natalie shifted, her expression growing more knowing, her hand lightly touching her dress, as if disregarding the unfolding situation. She had planned this, dedicating hours to influencing the event committee, making sure Elise's name was removed from the speakers. This was her last offering to the beneficiary who had the audacity to overshadow her. The hall's laughter amplified, a collective expression of derision, each syllable a missile aimed at Elise's reputation. Outside, Maria held her phone, her complexion ashen, the live stream displaying her daughter's embarrassment for all to see. Elise remained motionless, her fingers subtly shaking around the plaque. The coordinator indicated the staircase, her urgency noticeable. "Please proceed, Ms. Carter," she stated, her voice clear enough for the rear sections to hear. The hall seemed to anticipate Elise's faltering, her tears, her demonstration of inadequacy. However, Elise remained composed. She raised her head, her hazel eyes surveyed the room, and she spoke, her voice firm and unwavering, piercing the surrounding sounds like a sharp instrument. "Thank you for revealing who genuinely belongs in this place." The words were gentle, yet they held a significance that momentarily hushed the murmurs. She then turned, her footsteps silent on the marble, and started to walk away from the stage, her head held high, her dignity a protection against their harshness. As Elise began to leave the stage, Natalie stood up again, her emerald gown a beacon of spite. "This is why we don't associate with the staff," she announced, her voice sharp and clear through the hall. "Elise, you're a stain on St." The impact of Morel's legacy was palpable. A harsh judgment fell. "Your mother's a failure, and you're her echo," accompanied by a gesture towards the live stream screen, acknowledging Maria's viewership. "Go join her outside where you both belong." The audience responded with cheers, their applause seeming to mock Elise's distress, as phones documented her every movement. "No one wants you here," Natalie added, her smile laced with malice. Elise's flats made a soft sound on the marble floor, her plaque clutch held firmly, her hazel eyes reflecting a quiet determination. Maria's sobs resonated through the live stream, the crowd's harshness a public dismantling of her daughter's aspirations. The audience's anger boomed, their spirits saddened, hoping Elise would withstand this ultimate setback. The hall's derision intensified as she walked down the steps. "Back to the slums," cried a boy, his voice lost in the laughter. A girl threw a crumpled program at Elise's feet, saying, "Pick it up, janitors, kid." The paper slid across the floor, brushing Elise's flats, but she didn't stop. Her steps were even, her face serene, but the audience outside, Maria's audience, felt each insult as a physical blow. Maria's hands shook, tears streaked her face, but she didn't avert her gaze from the screen. Elise was her daughter, her pride, and they were dismantling her for entertainment. The hall's laughter was a storm, unrelenting, each remark a wound no one could see but everyone could feel. Natalie stood, her emerald gown shimmering, her voice ringing out. "Let's acknowledge her effort with applause," she stated, clapping deliberately and with a hint of sarcasm. The auditorium responded, the sound echoing emptily, a distorted imitation of reverence. "Perhaps she could present at the community college next," Natalie remarked, her smile sharp. The laughter intensified, phones lighting up as students documented Elise's departure, their captions already being composed. "Scholarship girl falters." Elise's form diminished against the stage's light, her cotton dress a striking difference from the radiant audience. She felt isolated and vulnerable, her opportunity taken by individuals unfamiliar with hardship. The audience's frustration was palpable, their emotions aligned with Elise, hoping she would retaliate. Suddenly, the doors opened and all movement ceased. Security cleared a path, their dark suits creating a sharp contrast to the hall's grandeur. Bright light flooded the space, highlighting a person in a gray suit and black tie. Noah Grayson, only successor to Grayson Industries, entered the room. At 24, he possessed a striking presence. Tall and lean, with dark hair swept back and eyes like carved steel, sharp enough to cut through lies. His presence was electric and commanding, the kind that silenced a room without a word. He had built Grayson Industries' renewable energy arm into a $50 billion empire, and his name was whispered in boardrooms from Tokyo to New York. But to Elise, he was simply Noah, the man who'd fallen for her mind, her heart, and her quiet strength. Noah approached Elise, his movements purposeful, his eyes fixed on her. The hall seemed to pause, the sound of laughter fading. He extended his hand, his touch gentle yet steady, halting her progress. "You're not going anywhere," he stated, his voice quiet but strong, audible throughout the hall. "This is a ceremony of honor, and you're the only one here who genuinely deserves it." Elisa's eyes relaxed, a subtle smile gracing her lips. However, she remained silent, her lack of words more impactful than any declaration. Noah's hand remained on hers, his touch conveying a promise, a protection from the atmosphere of the room. He addressed the event organizers, his steady gaze focusing on the coordinator, who visibly recoiled. "I've been the primary sponsor of St. Moral for 3 years," Noah stated, his voice calm yet resolute, each word carrying significant weight. "This hall's construction, the scholarships you receive, and the continuation of your legacy were all made possible by my family's contributions. However, I am formally withdrawing all future funding unless Elise Carter is invited back onto that stage. Immediately." The event coordinator's clipboard visibly shook, and her complexion drained. The dean, positioned at the front, rose to speak, but Noah's intense look stopped him. The hall felt like a silent chamber, with every attendee motionless, their earlier confidence dissipating under Noah's control. Noah's gaze moved to Natalie, who appeared stiff, her smile vanished, her hands tightly holding her dress. "Natalie Harrington," he stated, his voice sharp and clear, "you sent me 27 messages over the last 4 months, requesting a meeting, a partnership, an opportunity to be at my family's table. Don't believe I was unaware that you altered the speaker list today." A sudden commotion filled the room, eliciting gasps and murmurs as heads turned to Natalie. Her face was flushed, and her eyes moved quickly, desperately seeking an escape route. "You believed you could remove Elisa's name," Noah stated, his voice cold, "but you have only damaged your own reputation." Natalie's chair scraped against the floor as she rose, her voice shaking. "That is not accurate," she insisted, but the attention of the hall was now focused on her, scrutinizing, disapproving. The coordinator spoke quietly to the dean, who responded with a somber nod. Security advanced towards Natalie, their footsteps echoing on the marble. "Ms. Harrington, you're needed at the disciplinary board," one stated, his voice resolute. Natalie's gown snagged on her chair as she lost her balance, her heels striking the floor in a defeated rhythm. The hall remained silent as she was led away, her sphere of power diminishing with each step. Noah's voice resonated, a commanding presence that quelled the hall's whispers. He stated that this wasn't solely Natalie's responsibility, his gaze sharp as he surveyed the audience, identifying those involved. "I possess evidence, emails, texts, and witness testimonies, demonstrating a planned effort to remove Elise from the speaker list." He retrieved a tablet from his suit, its screen illuminating with information. "Claire Voss, you provided a bribe of $50,000 to the event committee to modify the list. Ethan Caldwell, you disseminated rumors regarding Elisa's alleged academic dishonesty to damage her GPA reputation. Ms. Langley, it is known that you enforced the altered list for a promotion." A collective gasp rippled through the room, with heads turning towards the accused, their faces visibly paling. Grayson Industries is initiating an investigation, and individuals implicated will confront legal repercussions, Noah announced. Elisa's reputation is paramount. The hall's silence was palpable, those found wanting visibly retracting under his scrutiny, and the audience erupted in applause, their spirits lifting as justice prevailed. Dean Dr. Harold Vance approached the podium, his face pale, his voice wavering under Noah's intense look. "St. Morel has let down its most promising student," he announced, his words transmitted to the live stream. "Elise Carter's exclusion was a planned action, and we acknowledge complete responsibility." He addressed the faculty, specifically mentioning Dr. Tate. "Your comments were inappropriate, and you are suspended while a review takes place." He then spoke to the students, his voice resolute. "An investigation into harassment is underway concerning Julian Pierce and Sophia Lyle. Expulsion is a possible consequence." A collective gasp rippled through the room as the accused visibly recoiled, their confidence diminishing. "Ms. Langley, your involvement in this sabotage concludes your time here," Vance announced. The silence in the hall felt like a judgment, while the live stream audience expressed their approval as events transpired. Elise remained composed, her cotton dress appearing radiant, embodying a sense of grace. A wave of emotion swept through the audience, the hall's appearance a clear sign of her victory. An outside livestream showed her leaving, the audience applauding Elisa's validation. Elise returned to the stage, her cotton dress shimmering beneath the chandeliers, still holding her plaque. The hall was quiet now, everyone's heads lowered, the previous ridicule now replaced with regret. She approached the podium, her hazel eyes scanning the room, her voice calm and resolute. This moment wasn't hers alone, she stated, her words gentle but impactful. It was for her mother, who had instructed her that diligence surpasses riches. It was for each student informed they don't belong. The applause commenced, initially subdued, then growing, a wave of esteem. Elise didn't revel in it, she didn't require it. Her silence had conveyed volumes. Her dignity had prevailed. Elise approached the podium, her presence a restrained power that transformed the hall. I stand here not for myself, but for every voice silenced by wealth, she stated, her voice clear, resonating with unwavering strength. My mother taught me that honor isn't bought, it's earned. This scholarship in my name will ensure no student is judged for their background. She raised her plaque, its gold a symbol of her triumph, and faced the audience. St. Morel will change or it will fall, I choose change. The applause erupted, students and guests standing, their earlier scorn replaced by reverence. Noah's eyes shone with pride, his hand brushing hers, a silent vow. On the live stream, Maria's face glowed, the crowd chanting, Elise, Elise. The chandeliers above seemed to blaze, reflecting a legacy forged in truth. The audience's hearts thundered, Elise's words a clarion call, her triumph a light that would burn forever. The ceremony continued, but the atmosphere had changed. Noah took a seat beside Elise, his hand brushing hers, a quiet promise of forever. The dean announced new honors. Maria Carter, Elise's mother, received the Inspiration of the Year award, her name appearing on the live stream screen. Maria's tears shifted to a smile as the crowd outside cheered with pride. Grayson Industries announced a $10 million scholarship in Elise's name for students demonstrating leadership potential from low-income families. The audience responded with applause, but Elise's gaze was fixed on Noah, her heart brimming, her triumph achieved. Standing at the podium, Elise experienced a profound silence that highlighted her victory. This moment isn't solely for my benefit, she stated, her voice firm, carrying a strength that impressed those present. It's for my mother, who worked nights to provide me with an opportunity. It's for every student who has been told their aspirations are too modest. She displayed her plaque, its gold gleaming in the light, and continued, Grayson Industries' leadership in my name will create openings for others similar to me, and I'll ensure St. Morel never forgets the meaning of honor. The applause resonated, students and guests rising, their previous disapproval now replaced by wonder. Noah stood beside her, his hand on hers, his pride a silent strength. Outside, Maria's face was illuminated on the live stream, the crowd chanting Elise's name. The hall's chandeliers appeared to shine more brilliantly, mirroring a fresh legacy, one founded on truth, not wealth. The audience's hearts expanded, Elise's victory a symbol of justice destined to resonate beyond these walls. Following the ceremony's conclusion, Noah and Elise emerged, the spring air cool against their skin. He held a small velvet box, a diamond ring glittering in the sunlight. Turning to Elise Carter, he spoke, his voice gentle, intended only for her. You're my home, my truth. Will you marry me? Her smile was radiant, her nod immediate. The crowd outside erupted, Maria rushing to embrace them, her scrubs a badge of honor. Elise and Noah stood together, their hands entwined, their future a beacon of hope. Natalie faced a brief disciplinary hearing, resulting in expulsion for altering the honors list. Her family's reputation suffered. The live stream gained global popularity, elevating Elise and dominating social media, her narrative embodying resilience. St. Morel's reputation evolved, its influence expanding, its character transformed by a girl in a cotton dress. Elise needed no adornments. She represented hope. Like, share, and subscribe for more narratives such as this, and let us know in the comments, who would you have applauded? The moment she entered, she was dismissed. Her appearance was striking, a wrinkled oatmeal-colored dress, scuffed leather shoes, and hair loose down her back. An actress turned, speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. Seriously? Appearing at the prestigious casting looking like that, she proceeded into the casting room, and the director's voice erupted, "Oh my God! Are you mocking me? This is an insult. Get her out. Out." Despite the commotion, only one sentence was needed. The statement hung in the air, leaving the entire room utterly still. This was the final casting for Noble, a celebrated fragrance brand staging its initial return in 10 years, with a worldwide campaign filmed by Ethan Cole, the famously demanding director known for several Academy Award-winning art films. The central concept? Nobility. Not in a traditional aristocratic meaning, but something more profound. Something timeless. Auditions were taking place in Manhattan, at the top of the modern glass building belonging to Noble Corporation. Only 30 actresses were invited, carefully selected from thousands nationwide. These women represented the elite Golden Globe recipients, established talents, and popular figures in the media. Ellie Harper, however, seemed out of place, or so it appeared. She was an unknown, lacking a stylist or support team, and arrived wearing a simple dress, accompanied by a manager relying on a feeling and harboring a secret that would dramatically alter the situation. The casting took place on the top floor of the Noble Corporation's modern Manhattan skyscraper. Ellie Harper followed her manager, Claire Dawson, into the room and was almost overwhelmed by the brightness. The space was filled with well-known actors, with only a few unfamiliar faces present. The event's theme was nobility, so attendees were dressed in elaborate attire, including designer gowns, sparkling jewels, and impeccably styled hair. The majority of the attendees were familiar with one another, engaging in brief greetings and professional introductions. Those less acquainted sought opportunities to compliment prominent figures, and the room resonated with animated conversation. When Ellie entered the doorway, an abrupt stillness fell over the space. It wasn't due to recognition, no one knew her name, but rather because, in contrast to the well-known attendees adorned with diamonds, she seemed strikingly out of place. Some might have described her appearance as unconventional. Her dress was a simple, somewhat faded oatmeal-colored shift, and her brown leather shoes showed signs of wear and scuffing. She wore no jewelry, no makeup, and her chestnut hair flowed in loose, unbound waves down her back. The room was crowded with Hollywood's elite, and after a moment of surprised looks, they made no effort to conceal their disapproval. They didn't even quiet their voices as they openly criticized her directly. The question arose, who was this? Some whispered she appeared to have just emerged from a dumpster. Others wondered if she was lost. An actress made a dismissive expression. Another exclaimed, "Absolutely not. She's represented by Claire Dawson, the former manager of Vanessa Lane." Everyone recognized Claire, the highly successful manager who had propelled Vanessa Lane to fame before Vanessa's sudden retirement. Seeing Claire with Ellie caused astonishment. Wait, that's Claire's latest client? The one she's promoting so heavily? Producer derided. Even without Vanessa, Claire's professional history shouldn't involve working at this level. Is Dawson's agency in such a difficult situation? It's hard to believe they can't afford a stylist, someone remarked. No, they're not without funds, they simply don't prioritize her, another responded. Disparaging comments arose. Vanessa damaged her career due to a relationship, and Claire was oblivious until Vanessa made the announcement. She was her manager, and didn't realize the situation until then. Yeah, Claire's career has declined, a voice added. The prominent talent at Dawson's agency is Monica Reed, not Claire. Just then, a rising star from Starlight Entertainment, Brooke Kendall, approached Claire with a saccharine smile that couldn't quite conceal her derision. "Claire, you're bringing a new talent to the casting?" she inquired, her gaze dismissively assessing Ellie's attire. Claire responded calmly, "I signed her up impulsively. She successfully completed the preliminary rounds, so I thought it would be beneficial experience." Her voice was modest but resolute, a veiled display of Ellie's achievement in reaching this stage among the nation's leading actresses. Brooke's expression became condescending as she observed Ellie, shaking her head. "Claire, no offense, but even a waitress wouldn't present themselves this way. Do you feel Vanessa's departure severely? If you are finding things difficult, abandon Dawson's agency and join my team. My assistant's compensation isn't substantial, but it's preferable to supporting someone of Ellie's profile." Starlight and Dawson's agency had been competitors for years, and Brooke harbored a personal resentment. Vanessa had overshadowed her at award shows on numerous occasions. She wasn't going to let a chance to challenge Claire pass her. The people nearby smiled, enjoying the unfolding situation. Another voice interjected, "Hey, I'm looking for assistance as well. Claire, would you be interested?" Brooke laughed, pleased. "Look at that, Claire is in high demand. No need to worry about going without." Ellie's gaze sharpened with a frigid look as Brooke embarrassed Claire. But Claire had cautioned her, regardless of what occurs, remain silent. Ellie located a peaceful spot, settled down, and shut her eyes, blocking out the surrounding sounds. Her purpose wasn't to argue. She was present to concentrate and discover the necessary emotion for the part. The audition commenced shortly thereafter. Ellie received a respectable number, 15 out of 30. Brooke, number 14, observed Ellie's number and released a theatrical sigh. Such a promising slot squandered on her. The initial actress, Mia Carson, entered. She was a force, a self-made star who had worked tirelessly to achieve a Golden Globe, lacking formal training or a privileged background. A palpable stillness fell over the room as she arrived. Her skill was unmistakable. Brooke, however, expressed skepticism. "Honestly," she muttered, "she's just a high school dropout from nowhere. How can she possibly succeed in Noble?" Brooke herself wasn't from a family of actors, but her family possessed considerable wealth. Her father held a Senate position, her mother operated a high-end crocodile leather fashion brand, and she had been raised with refined manners. She received piano and calligraphy lessons, among other things. Today, she wore a dress valued higher than Noble's entire advertising budget, and her self-assurance was evident. Few could compare to her upbringing, despite some achieving similar levels of recognition. Mia appeared less than a minute later, her complexion pale. Her manager hurried to assist her, but Mia declined, appearing defeated. Her manager's shoulders slumped, though she stayed to comfort her. Brooke crossed her arms, smug. "Knew it. What's a small-town girl gonna do with Noble?" Other actresses with trust fund backgrounds echoed her, sneering as Mia, unable to bear the mocking stares, left the room. Even a Golden Globe couldn't shield her from the sting of their elitism. In her corner, Ellie cracked her eyes open, watching Mia's retreating figure with a flicker of regret. Mia's acting talent and existing fanbase suggested this advertisement would be a sure success. It was disappointing. The second actress, a coal heiress whose father had funded her career, performed even worse. The third, a Naipo baby with actor parents, lasted only 3 minutes. She was adequate but ultimately unsuitable. As actress after actress was considered, even the most established names failed to meet expectations. Tension filled the audition room, particularly as the director, Ethan Cole, could be heard criticizing them from behind the closed door. Ethan's American accent possessed a sharp quality, developed through years of working internationally. He wondered if his words were being understood, and he doubted their intelligence. He desired grace and refinement, not lifeless figures performing mechanically. He criticized Mia, stating that while her performance was convincing, her eyes revealed a lack of depth. She seemed ordinary, just another actress, a mere prop. He dismissed a third, acknowledging her talent but finding her far from ideal. She didn't match the image he held. And one prior to Brooke, that was the 13th person. "She believes I am foolish. She possesses no understanding of the harp." The actresses outside, previously full of self-importance, lost color. "Is this man genuine? He has criticized everyone," one whispered. "He holds a resentment towards Americans," another complained. "It is simply an advertisement. Why is he behaving as though we must be specialists? Does he anticipate that we should become proficient in everything?" Brooke laughed derisively, flipping her hair. Only individuals lacking talent create justifications and fault the director. As number 14, she entered the casting room. When Brooke opened the door, Ethan's scowl lessened. She wore a vintage-inspired gown, adorned with pearls and emeralds, and her blonde hair was styled in an elegant updo with a jade hairpin. She wasn't simply noble, She was a vision of American glamour with a hint of timeless sophistication. Ethan's eyes brightened, and his tone grew warmer. "Come on, my dear. Step closer. Let me see you." Brooke stood confidently, allowing him to assess her. Growing up in privileged environments, her every movement, her smile, her bearing, displayed innate elegance. There was no need for pretense. Ethan walked around her, acknowledging with nods. "Very well, Brooke. Let's see what you can do." The casting room was filled with a variety of props: a grand piano, a calligraphy set, a chessboard, an embroidery stand, and a silk fan. Brooke's eyes focused on a harp. "This one," she stated, lightly touching the strings. The harp presented a greater challenge than a piano, demanding complex technique. 7 pedals, 47 strings, a range of 6.5 octaves. Ethan, a culture buff who had studied American and European arts for decades, wasn't someone easily deceived by a superficial performance. One actress had previously attempted a deceptive performance and received criticism. Ethan raised a brow as Brooke selected the harp, displaying skepticism. However, as she commenced playing, his expression changed. Her fingers moved gracefully over the strings, producing a melody that was both subtle and powerful. Following her performance, Ethan hesitated to reject her immediately. This was unprecedented. He spent a considerable time discussing the matter with his assistant. Eventually, the assistant approached Brooke with courtesy. "Ms. Kendall, we are still in the audition process, but could you please wait outside? We will inform you of our decision." The unspoken message was evident. They were impressed, but further evaluation was needed. Brooke responded with a pleasant smile. "Certainly." Internally, she allowed a confident smirk. Who could possibly surpass her? The role was undoubtedly hers. As Brooke exited, a palpable excitement filled the room. She had been in there for almost 10 minutes, and instead of Ethan's typical shouting, they had heard the harp's delicate music. Brooke didn't retreat like the others. She sat down, composed, prepared to be summoned. It was clear. She had made the shortlist, possibly even secured the position. The other actresses' certainty lessened. The established performers didn't want to chance embarrassment. But the prestigious contract was too appealing to relinquish. "Number 15, you're up," the assistant announced. Ellie, still absorbed in her thoughts, remained still. Claire, seated next to her, didn't intervene. She understood Ellie needed this time. Brooke, noticing Ellie in her view, felt compelled to speak. "Claire, I'm not intending to be unkind, but why select her?" Starlight dismissed her for a reason. "Are you genuinely allowing her to audition in that state? If she performs poorly, it reflects not just on you, but on your entire agency." Brooke's words directed all attention to Ellie. The room shifted, with some actresses quietly laughing. Targeted as the recipient of their criticism, perhaps they wouldn't appear so unfavorable compared to Brooke. Several, however, remained silent, questioning whether Ellie's disheveled look was a calculated choice, a hidden tactic. Perhaps she would change before entering. "Claire, I'm ready," Ellie said quietly, opening her eyes. Claire nodded. "You can do it. Number 15, let's go," the assistant repeated. Amidst a wave of doubtful gazes, Ellie rose, adjusted her dress, and proceeded calmly to the casting room. The moment she vanished inside, the room erupted in whispers. "Is she really going in like that?" One actress murmured. "I had anticipated a hidden strategy, but it seemed she was auditioning as if she were down on her luck. Ethan is going to be furious. She's in serious trouble. Perhaps it's better not to know." Then, Ethan's voice boomed through the doorway. "Are you insulting me, insulting Noble? Get out." Brooke took a drink of juice given to her by her assistant, a smile playing on her lips. "That went better than I thought." Why proceed when failure is inevitable, clinging to the hope of an unexpected outcome? She retrieved her phone and initiated a call. "Hey, Savannah. Brooke, are you finished? How did it proceed?" Savannah's voice was even and comforting. "Exceptional, as expected," Brooke, she responded with a hint of confidence. The initial 13 actresses presented challenges, but the remainder? They were no match. "You are guaranteed success," Of course, you would succeed, Savannah laughed. Thank you for making way, dear. This opportunity would have rightfully been yours. Please don't exaggerate. I've assisted you before, such as securing a partnership between your father's company and my mother's brand last month. Minor things. You won't believe who I just saw. Who? Your foster sister, Ellie Harper, the country bumpkin. What? How did she get into a noble casting? I have no idea what fortunate circumstances she encountered to succeed in the prelims, but it was amusing to watch. The theme is nobility, and she appeared as if she lives under a bridge. She's lost it, Savannah laughed. Absolutely. Avoiding interaction with her is wise. She is creating a difficult situation for herself. Regardless, I must leave. I'll speak with you when I have cause for celebration. Within the casting room, Ethan's anger encountered Ellie's composure. She remained present, undisturbed, her clear, hazel eyes meeting his. A quality in her gaze, sincere and resolute, caused him to hesitate, as if he were the one who didn't belong. Her attire was unremarkable. It was simply quite understated compared to the other's elaborate appearances. The dress, though used, was tidy and clean. Her unadorned face, gentle and simple, evoked a line of verse for him, like a lotus blooming purely from the water, free from embellishment. Yet her apparent lack of preparation felt like a rebuke. You, I'm speaking to you. Do you not understand English? You are dismissed. Please leave now. Do not waste anyone else's time, Ethan stated, too frustrated to even inquire about her name. While he scolded, Ellie moved toward the harp Brooke had used. Her fingers lightly touched the strings, producing a few notes. Ethan's anger intensified. He paused, intending to continue. However, a sudden rush of sound halted him. The musical phrases flowed, complex and resonant. This is Shenandoah? He questioned, surprised. It was recognized as a difficult American folk composition for harp, a poignant tune deeply connected to the country's identity. Brooke had performed a less complicated classical selection. Ellie remained silent. She was positioned at the harp, her fingers moving with accuracy. The music grew, captivating Ethan. He disregarded his frustration, forgot to speak, and was absorbed by the melody's richness. Shenandoah stood as a cornerstone of American music, its notes reflecting themes of longing, resilience, and quiet strength. It resonated beyond beauty. It pulsed with defiance, a narrative of perseverance through hardship. Ellie's performance wasn't merely skilled, it embodied the song's essence. Ethan watched, stunned. Her clothes were ragged, her face bare, but as she played, no one could mistake her for anything less than extraordinary. She wasn't insignificant, she was a force, her story interwoven into every note. As the final chord concluded, Ethan remained silent. Following a considerable interval, he composed himself, his voice lowered. Your Shenandoah, it surpassed all my expectations. Ellie responded, nodding subtly, her face exhibiting no change. His perception of her composure, whether confronted with his criticisms or his accolades, impressed him. It wasn't a display of arrogance. It was something more profound, a grace appearing to emanate from within her. This was nobility. It wasn't the kind derived from money or status, but the kind built within, resilient even in poverty. He observed her, his anticipation increasing. None of the others, not even Brooke, had resonated with him in the same way. Brooke's presentation, as flawless as it seemed, felt practiced and insincere. But Ellie? She possessed genuine substance. He cleared his throat and inquired further. Tell me, how do you understand nobility? The others had provided standard responses, education, refinement, poise, which were dependable but lacking inspiration. He leaned forward, wanting to hear Ellie's opinion. She hesitated, carefully selecting her words. Genuine nobility isn't defined by the display of wealth or the importance of a lineage. It's not about jewelry or a perfect appearance. It's not even the knowledge or etiquette one shows off to make an impression. True nobility is when you're wearing a simple dress, your hair disheveled, yet your inner light shines through, unmistakable. Ethan's eyes widened, his face practically glowing. Ellie continued, Noble's campaign is about fragrance, right? A fragrance can communicate more about an individual than any elaborate outfit. For a woman, perfume embodies her identity. It holds greater significance than clothing. It possesses enduring quality, unlike fleeting trends such as jewelry or hairstyles. A truly exceptional fragrance remains memorable. Ethan reacted immediately. Yes, absolutely. He nodded emphatically. Her statement perfectly captured the campaign's core message. Outside, the waiting actresses overheard Ethan's immediate reaction, then a moment of quiet, followed by the harp's uplifting melody. One actress remarked, "Did Claire prepare her with a harp trick? After Brooke's performance, that's just embarrassing." Another, more perceptive, frowned. "That piece sounds harder than Brooke's, but it won't matter." Brooke, who knew her harps, felt a flicker of unease at the technical skill echoing from the room, but she brushed it off. "Claire, your little project doesn't get it. The harp's elegant. Performers bathe, dress impeccably, respect the tradition. She's disrespecting the art itself. Ethan's gonna tear her apart." The others nodded. Claire remained silent, observing the door. Ellie hadn't been dismissed yet. That was step one, but her strategy was risky, and Claire wasn't certain how it would be received. When the music ceased, there was no yelling. The wait felt longer than Brooke's audition. "What's happening in there?" An actress murmured, pacing. "He's likely reprimanding her so severely he's lost track of time. Ethan is a top-tier director. He's ruthless. This could damage Claire's whole agency." Ethan retrieved Ellie's file from his assistant, quickly reviewing it. His eyes widened. "Ellie Harper. Wait, you're Cassandra Reed?" "Cassandra?" "Yes, that was my first film role," Ellie stated. Claire had sent clips from Legacy, so he wasn't surprised he recognized the name. However, his enthusiasm appeared considerable. Ellie continued, "The moment I saw Cassandra, I was captivated. I need to see that film in theaters. When's it out?" Ethan's regret was noticeable. He nearly didn't recognize her, as her usual appearance differed significantly from her on-screen image. Ellie offered a polite smile. "Still in post-production, likely a month away." She added, "Thank you for the kind words." "No, you deserve it," Ethan exclaimed. In Legacy, Cassandra was portrayed as a villain, but her powerful and seemingly unapproachable demeanor was precisely what he'd been seeking. Ellie's performance today only validated that. "I'm so sorry, Ellie. I was mistaken, almost sent you away." She replied, "You're right. Genuine heritage extends beyond appearance." He guided her to a presentation of distinguished perfumes. For 2 centuries, these perfumes have been created using time-honored methods and the world's most exceptional components. It's the scent of authentic aristocracy. I am pleased to lead this campaign, but I required someone who could represent that ideal. Fortunately, I found you. This partnership will be flawless." His assistant cleared his throat, murmuring, "Sir, others remain. Should we proceed to the next candidate?" Ethan dismissed him with a gesture. "There is no need. Ellie is our ambassador. Please dismiss the rest." Outside, the door finally opened. The assistant emerged, addressing the crowd. "Ladies, we have selected Ellie as our ambassador. The casting is complete. As a token of our gratitude, we are gifting everyone a 3-day luxury cruise. Enjoy." The room fell silent. Actresses who had not auditioned stared in disbelief. "What? It's finished? We didn't even get an audition." It was disappointing, but most weren't shocked. The leading actresses breathed a sigh of relief. They avoided any embarrassment. A wave of congratulations washed over Brooke. "Well done, Brooke. If it's you, I'm not mad." Brooke rose, enjoying the accolades, and moved towards the assistant. "Thank you, Ethan, for the opportunity. I won't let him down." The assistant seemed puzzled. No, there's been a misunderstanding. It's not Ms. Kendall." A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Ethan selected Ellie Harper, number 15. "Ellie Harper? The one dressed like a bum?" Someone exclaimed. "You're joking, right?" Brooke's complexion visibly paled. "There's a mistake." Everyone was talking about Ellie Harper, the relatively unknown contestant. She had already mentioned the news to Savannah. The thought of losing to Ellie? It was simply unacceptable. The assistant confirmed with a firm nod. There was no error. It was Ms. Harper, number 15. Brooke's voice trembled with anger. This felt unjust. They deserved an explanation. The assistant expressed resignation. It's Ethan's decision. I am unable to alter it. Then allow me to speak with him, Brooke insisted. Others whispered, questioning whether the assistant had made a mistake with the announcement. Even Claire appeared shocked. The assistant finally agreed. I'll pass this on. He returned promptly. Ethan said, Ms. Kendall, when you see the advertisement, you'll understand why we selected Ellie. He turned to Claire. Ms. Dawson, Ethan would like you to come in to discuss the contract. Claire, still absorbing the information, nodded. Thank you. She followed him inside, leaving Brooke visibly embarrassed and the others speechless. No way. Ellie Harper? We lost to her? I was going to say she's Claire's client. There's no way she's that uncomplicated. We underestimated them. Consider Ellie a surprise. Brooke must be feeling the pressure. First, Vanessa had control, and now Claire is working with a new talent. During the return trip, Claire observed Ellie, who was enjoying a hot dog. It was her first meal since preparing for the casting. The more Claire collaborated with her, the less certain she appeared. You okay? Ellie asked, with her mouth full, noticing Claire's gaze. Feeling fortunate to have a brilliant client like me? Claire laughed. I thought your approach was dangerous. Ethan is knowledgeable, he might have detected any deception. Regarding that harp, you played remarkably well. That requires years of practice. Ellie almost laughed until she choked. Years? Claire responded, you're being overly generous. I learned it in a month, and it's the only piece I know. I memorized it by rote. My intention was purely to impress. Claire blinked, visibly amused and disbelieving. Seriously? Ellie confirmed, raising a finger. I experiment with various instruments. Harp, piano, whatever. I learned just enough to manage, but I'm certainly no expert. Acknowledging that lengthy dedication can lead to focusing on fundamental principles and then proceeding, Claire shook her head, smiling. You're quite remarkable. As the city lights passed by, Ellie took another bite of her hot dog, seemingly unaffected by the day's events. She had entered a room filled with challenging individuals, allowed them to challenge her, and ultimately succeeded. This wasn't driven by a need to demonstrate her superiority, but because she possessed a strong sense of self, which was sufficient. Please enjoy this story, and consider sharing it with others, leaving a comment, and subscribing for more thrilling content. She experienced humiliation, and was even detained, directly within the VIP terminal of Rosebridge Airport. Dressed in an old hoodie and worn-out sneakers, she appeared strikingly ordinary amidst a waiting lounge filled with Italian suits and platinum-tier memberships. This type of passenger doesn't typically travel on a private jet, a security officer stated coldly. She was held, under scrutinizing glances, until the private jet of her billionaire husband arrived. Rosebridge Jet Terminal presented an image of immense wealth, with its polished marble floors reflecting the light of expensive chandeliers, and its tarmac accommodating Gulfstreams and Louis Vuitton suitcases. This exclusive airport, where sapphire membership cards held greater significance than passports, resonated with the presence of tailored Armani suits, Louboutin heels, and the aroma of Tom Ford oud. The VIP lounge, designed as a lavish space of glass and velvet, catered exclusively to a select clientele, with staff in silk vests verifying access via platinum keycards. Past the lounge area, a private runway extended, its entrances secured for the wealthiest individuals. Claire Sutton entered the terminal, wearing a casual gray hoodie, faded sweatpants, and worn sneakers that made a soft sound on the marble flooring. At 30 years old, having grown up in a small, unassuming town, she had independently studied aerospace engineering while working as a mechanic, her life straightforward until she encountered Noah Sutton, the individual responsible for establishing Sutton Aerospace as a worldwide leader. A book and a water bottle were inside the small backpack she carried, her only belongings following a connecting domestic flight. The lounge's stairs seemed to divide her, as if sensing an approaching storm. Claire felt like an imperfection in the terminal's gleaming appearance, her backpack a disruption to the exclusive environment. A security officer, Victor Hayes, moved toward her, his navy uniform immaculate, his badge shining. "This lounge is exclusively for private jet passengers," he stated, his voice drawing attention. A lounge attendant, wearing a $2,000 Gucci blazer, chuckled, bending towards their colleague. They likely gained entry searching for employment. Amusement spread through the lounge, passengers concealing smiles with perfectly shaped hands. Claire remained still, her hazel eyes fixed, her backpack over one shoulder. She had come to meet Noah, the man whose empire she'd secretly assisted in creating. A wave of frustration rippled through the onlookers, their emotions tightening at the dismissive behavior of these officials, their contempt a sharp contrast to Claire's gentle demeanor. The jeering grew louder, a harsh sound led by the terminal's influential members. Vanessa Klein, the lounge manager, stepped forward, her platinum blonde hair flowing over a form-fitting Versace dress, her red lipstick a vivid accent to her cool expression. At 29 years old, having grown up in Miami's affluent circles, she was known for maintaining strict standards of admittance. Claire's hoodie earned a scoff. "We're unable to verify your identity or your reason for being in the high-security zone," the officer stated, her voice crisp and firm. The passengers responded with laughter that reverberated against the glass walls. Vanessa, with a flick of her hair, released a cloud of Chanel perfume, a fragrance Claire knew Noah found unpleasant. Claire's fingers gripped her backpack, her expression composed, while the audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing at this direct challenge, Vanessa's confidence appearing sharp and cold. The criticism intensified, becoming a deliberate and unified attack on Claire's presence. Victor Hayes approached, his badge reflecting light, and indicated a side door. "Your baggage has not cleared VIP screening," he stated, his voice steady but not unkind. "Please proceed to the holding area for those suspected of making false statements." The crowd applauded, their Rolexes catching the light as they gestured for her to leave. A passenger wearing a $6,000 Brioni suit exclaimed, "You don't seem like someone who owns a private jet ticket." Amusement rippled through the group, with passengers bumping shoulders. A receptionist whispered, "She doesn't appear to be a tourist." Another commented, "That hoodie looks like it could be stolen, and she has the nerve to enter here?" The remarks felt like a heavy blow, each word a painful strike against Claire's quietness. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts aching for Claire, deeply upset by this group's persistent harshness. The travelers' disdain became sharp as Claire stood in the VIP lounge, their taunts a deliberate attack intended to undermine her resolve. Several technology leaders in $8,000 Seville row suits assembled close to the velvet sofas, their words a spiteful blend. "She's a mark on Rosebridge's reputation," one remarked, gesturing with a platinum fountain pen in Claire's direction, highlighting her worn sneakers. Returning to the budget terminal, one individual brandished a black Amex card, exclaiming, "Her backpack appears to be from a flea market." The audience's laughter was loud, employees glancing at each other, their Rolexes reflecting the light. A private equity mogul declared, "She's an insult to every jet parked here." The jeers felt like a severe judgment, each word a sharp blow against Claire's composed demeanor. Noah's jet was visible on the tarmac beyond the glass, but the lounge's disapproval felt intensely heavy. The audience's anger escalated, their hearts racing, indignant at this planned injustice, their fury intense and ready to challenge the elite's pride. The staff's involvement aggravated the situation, their actions a new disappointment. A receptionist, Clara Holt, wearing a tailored blazer, approached, her voice laced with disdain. "Miss, the general terminal is that way," she stated, gesturing towards a concealed door, her smirk reflected by surrounding passengers. "We don't allow such guests in the VIP lounge," she added, which drew laughter from the group. Clara, 26 years old and raised in New Jersey, took pride in her role as a gatekeeper. The group's approval felt like a powerful current, their arrogance a very public rejection. Claire held her backpack, her hazel eyes unwavering, but the lounge's disapproval felt intensely heavy. The audience's anger surged, their hearts racing at this form of institutional rejection, their fury burning against Rosebridge's sanctity. Vanessa Klein's criticism became pointed, a deliberate attempt to embarrass Claire in front of the lounge's most distinguished members. "You're not just out of place. You're a source of embarrassment," she stated, her Versace dress catching the light as she indicated Claire's sweatpants. Sutton Aerospace would not permit such behavior, she insisted, within their facilities. Her companions laughed, the sound punctuated by the clicking of their Mont Blanc pens, their gazes shifting to Claire's backpack. Vanessa remarked, "She's a charity case, not a jet passenger," her voice carrying enough volume to hush the surrounding quiet sounds. The passengers responded with approval, their disapproval feeling overwhelming, their hushed tones filled with discontent. "She's a fake," they muttered. Claire's hazel eyes glowed with contained anger, but her smile remained steady, a defense against the feeling of being let down. The pavement shimmered outside the windows, but the lounge's disapproval felt like a heavy burden. The audience's anger surged, their feelings of sorrow for Claire evident, fueled by the manager's deception revealed. The passengers' resentment reached a high point, their voices a harsh and bitter wave. A technology executive in a $5,000 Canali suit leaned forward, his voice sharp and dismissive. "She's insignificant, likely here seeking a passage," he remarked, pointing at Claire's sweatpants. "Observe that backpack. Did she retrieve it from a refuse container?" His associates chuckled, displaying their platinum cards. A socialite declared, "She's an embarrassment to whoever let her in." Laughter echoed, each insult a dagger aimed at Claire's heart. A woman standing close by with her daughter murmured, "She's likely someone's housekeeper." Her daughter chuckled, adding, "Or a stowaway." The audience's anger surged, their hearts with Claire, their fury a tidal wave against this malicious slander, desperate for the truth to shatter the elite's lies. The lounge staff's disapproval became obvious, their behavior a public embarrassment intended to entertain the other passengers. A senior concierge, Richard Tate, addressed Claire close to the glass reception desk, his silk vest immaculate, his tone condescending. "Miss, this lounge is exclusively for verified jet passengers," he stated, ensuring the surrounding people could hear. He indicated her hoodie with a gesture, his smirk echoed by the nearby employees. "Rosebridge rarely permits such straightforwardness," he stated, which elicited laughter from those present. The group's acceptance felt overwhelming, their confidence a stark display. Claire held her backpack, her hazel eyes steady, but the lounge's disapproval felt oppressive. The audience's anger intensified, their hearts racing at this perceived injustice, their fury burning against the terminal's integrity. Claire remained silent, her eyes dry, her arms holding her backpack, a plain bag containing the book she's read on her flight, a gift for Noah. She was led to the isolation room, a cold space of glass and steel, its walls mirroring the lounge luxury. The door closed behind her, with Victor Hayes standing watch, his badge representing her confinement. The passengers' murmurs followed her. "There lies a suffocating tide. She's a con artist." Claire's hazel eyes remained steady, her composure a quiet blaze. The audience's rage peaked, their hearts breaking for Claire, their fury a fire ready to consume the terminal's sanctity. The passengers' cruelty peaked as they spread vicious rumors, their voices a venomous storm echoing through the lounge. A hedge fund manager in a $9,000 Loro Piana suit leaned forward, his voice loud and cutting. He suggested she was a fraud, possibly having secured her place in the lounge through bribery, his friends agreeing, their cufflinks gleaming. Her marriage was also fabricated, simply a narrative to deceive Sutton. Another declared, raising his voice, "She's a con artist. Noah has been tricked." Derisive laughter erupted, each statement a painful blow to Claire. Employees shared falsehoods, their accusations multiplying rapidly. "She's after his wealth." Claire touched her backpack, maintaining a calm expression, though the group's malicious gossip felt overwhelming. The audience's anger surged, their feelings aligned with Claire, their outrage a powerful force seeking to expose the falsehoods of those in power. The sound of a jet engine broke the lounge's quiet atmosphere as a black Gulfstream G800 landed on the private runway, one of fewer than 20 such runways globally. The aircraft's polished exterior shone, its engines creating a loud noise that stopped the surrounding conversation. A VIP golf cart quickly moved towards the isolation zone, its tires squealing on the tarmac. Noah Sutton disembarked, his white shirt rolled up, his dark sunglasses glinting, projecting an aura of intensity. At 35, having grown up in Seattle, he had transformed Sutton Aerospace into a global empire, incorporating Rosebridge Jet Terminal through a corporate restructuring. He took off his sunglasses, revealing gray eyes as sharp as steel, and proceeded into the isolation room. "Why is my wife being held here?" His voice held no volume, yet it resonated with force. A wave of emotion rippled through the onlookers, their frustration giving way to expectation. Noah's revelation a beacon in the tension. Victor Hayes faltered, his official identification providing no protection. "I wasn't aware she—" Noah interrupted, his expression unwavering. "She has nothing to demonstrate. I am her confirmation of travel." The atmosphere became still, Vanessa Klein's Versace dress appearing deflated, her crimson lipstick a sharp contrast against her complexion. Noah opened the exit, approached Claire, and clasped her hand. "Are you weary?" he inquired, his voice gentle yet resolute. "The aircraft was prepared. Let's proceed." Claire smiled, her hazel eyes radiating warmth, her hoodie a subtle adornment. The travelers' cufflinks appeared less brilliant, their expressions strained with surprise. The crowd's sense of accomplishment grew, their hearts pounding as Noah's words altered the lounge's influence. Noah addressed the airport manager, his voice composed but firm. "I intended to maintain my stake in Rosebridge for an additional 2 years," he stated, "but today I have revised that decision." He hesitated, his gray eyes surveying the lounge. Detaining anyone for not wearing a suit in a gathering of those who believe themselves divine seemed inappropriate. Vanessa Klein recoiled, her Chanel perfume a sharp contrast to the situation. Noah's expression turned intense. "I'm not merely the largest investor in this airport, I possess 70% ownership of Rosebridge Jet Terminal." A chill permeated the lounge. The receptionist almost dropped her iPad, and the head of security paled. The audience erupted, their anger shifting to astonishment as Noah's actions began to dismantle the deception that had restricted Claire. The repercussions were swift, a judgment conveyed without a sound. Noah addressed Victor Hayes, his voice sharp and decisive. "You held the one I travel with," he stated. "Your time here is over, 5 minutes remaining." Victor's uniform seemed to shrink, his professional life collapsing. Noah then confronted Vanessa Klein, his gaze unwavering. "Your department's screening procedures? Discontinued. Access is permanently denied to all Sutton Group locations." Vanessa's Versace dress offered no protection. Her standing served as a warning. Noah addressed Clara Holt, the receptionist. "Your keycards have been disabled. Please clear your workspace." Clara appeared stunned, her role as gatekeeper now exposed. The onlookers' sense of disappointment shifted to jubilation, Claire's success affirmed by her husband's considerable influence. The isolation room felt dominated by Noah Sutton, his voice sharp and decisive, silencing the space enclosed by glass walls. "You dared to detain Claire Sutton, the only soul worthy of this terminal," he declared, his gray eyes radiating a controlled fury. "The validity of your badges, your protocols were irrelevant in the face of her truth." He presented a sleek tablet displaying a series of canceled agreements. Victor Hayes' security contracts, Vanessa Klein's management deals, and the staff's lounge privileges, all rescinded by Sutton Aerospace's board. "Your names are removed from global aviation," he announced, his eyes focused on Victor. "You have lost more than jobs, you have lost your futures." The audience reacted with shocked gasps, their empires collapsing under his direction. Claire stood beside him, her gray hoodie glowing, her triumph confirmed by Noah's consistent strength. The audience cheered, their spirits lifted as his worldwide justice defeated the elite's pride. Noah's gaze turned to the woman who had spoken, her daughter standing close behind. "I heard you refer to her as a maid," he said, his voice slightly firm. "I'll demonstrate the power even a so-called maid can possess, sufficient to result in your permanent membership cancellation." He retrieved his phone, activated it with a single button, and issued the command. The memberships of all individuals in Lounge 1A from the previous 2 hours were to be terminated. No justification was required. The socialite's platinum card became invalid, her standing negated. The tech mogul, who had previously ridiculed Claire's backpack, was led away, his agreements rescinded. Those passengers who had laughed concealed their Rolexes, their power diminished. The observers felt their hearts pound, their anger evolving into pride, Claire's victory shining brightly and humbling the lounge's prominent members. The downfall of the elite was a spectacle, their arrogance shattered under Noah's command. Vanessa Klein stumbled back, her Versace dress a mockery, her reputation a cautionary tale among the staff. Victor Hayes' badge was confiscated, his decades of service null, his escorts pushing him toward the service exit. Clara Holt's gatekeeping empire plummeted, her scorn a public wound, her belongings scattered. The hedge fund manager's deals collapsed, his slander exposed his lies. Those who'd flicked pens concealed their cufflinks, their memberships revoked. The staff who'd sneered were dismissed, their careers terminated. The socialite who'd whispered faced ostracism, her reputation diminished. Claire stood tall, her sneakers a subtle symbol of triumph, her hazel eyes unwavering. The audience's hearts resonated with emotion, their anger shifting to admiration. Claire's victory and Noah's anger shook the world's wealthiest in the terminal's esteemed halls. The terminal's hierarchy collapsed under Noah's direction. A thorough review revealed its deep-seated flaws. He addressed the airport's operations chief, his tone sharp and direct amidst the lounge's lavish surroundings. "Your screening system is unacceptable," he stated, his gray eyes unwavering. "Every procedure that caused distress to my wife is nullified, effective immediately." He activated his phone, and a wave of alerts flooded the staff's devices. Contracts terminated, permissions removed, entire departments dissolved. The socialite's daughter wept, her mother's membership a relic of a fallen empire. The tech mogul's jet remained on the tarmac, his influence non-existent. The receptionist who had laughed was escorted out, her iPad now inactive. Claire stood beside Noah, her backpack a silent declaration of her truth, her victory a bright spot in the terminal's fading light. The audience's hearts lifted, their anger shifting to triumph. Noah's fury a powerful force that washed away Rosebridge's arrogance. The details of Claire's history remained unknown, whether to the staff, Vanessa, or the passengers. When she was 20, she had rebuilt aircraft engines while studying late into the night, using her earnings to pay for textbooks. At 25, she encountered Noah at an aerospace expo, her understated intelligence captivating him amidst a crowd of showy personalities. Their marriage, a private ceremony on a Maine cliff, was founded on love, not financial resources. Vanessa's perfume, the staff's keycards, the passengers' suits, held no comparison to the resilience embodied by the backpack Claire carried. She now stood within the terminal, her rubber band a reminder of her integrity, her silence a consuming fire that exposed their deceit. Claire entered the Gulf Stream, still wearing her hoodie, holding Noah's hand. Her reflection appeared on the terminal's glass wall, portraying a composed woman passing 2 rows of people with lowered heads. The aircraft moved ahead, its engines creating a visible display of strength, leaving the lounge hushed. The chandeliers decreased in brightness, the marble floors no longer echoing with dominance. Noah turned to Claire, his gray eyes filled with concern. "Are you all right?" She responded with a nod, her hazel eyes following the curve of his smile. As the jet ascended, the autumn light diminished, revealing a line of the world's wealthiest individuals seeking her approval, their gestures a quiet acknowledgement of their previous treatment of her. She had experienced deep shame even being held. Within the exclusive VIP terminal of Rosebridge Airport, she appeared unassuming in an old hoodie and worn sneakers. Her appearance stood in stark contrast to the surroundings, a waiting lounge filled with Italian suits and platinum-tier memberships. The revelation arrived with undeniable force, and it couldn't be ignored. Everyone involved understood a crucial lesson. True authority isn't defined by appearance. It's established by presence, and the impact will be immediate. If you enjoyed this narrative, please like, share, and subscribe for similar stories. We'd love to hear from you. If you were Claire, what actions would you take?